Okay, here we go, folks. Okay, I'd like to call the meeting of the Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency for February 12, 2025 to order. And first is roll call. Tara.
Jeff Stevens. Here. Carm Baines.
Present.
Bruce Johnson.
Here.
Bill Conley.
Here.
Todd Kimmelshoe.
Here.
Bo Shepherd.
Here.
Mark Boomgarden.
Here.
Michael Pasquale.
Here.
Gary Marler.
Here.
Drew Stresser.
Here.
Jeremy Chapdelaine.
Here.
Mike Morris.
Here.
Chris Schmidl.
Okay, thank you. If you join me in a salute to our flag. Salute. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So our first order of business will be to choose a chair and vice chair for the next year. And as all of you know, we have a rotating chairmanship and vice chairmanship between Butte County, Sutter County, and Yuba City. And it's Yuba City's turn to be the chair. So I would open up nominations for chair.
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
nominate Mr. Mark Boomgarden.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any other nominations? Seeing none, we'll close the nominations. With that, I guess we can just do a voice. Andrea? Okay. So the motion is to have Mark Boomgard be our next chair. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, congratulations. There you go, sir. And I'll let you, unless you want to change seats.
No.
Okay.
I might
I'll let you
fall.
do the vice chair.
Before I do that, just want to thank you, Todd, for a year of excellent leadership. It's always a good, efficient meeting, and I think all of us appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
With that, accepting nominations for the vice chair, please.
Cue the chair, please.
Go ahead, Mr. Stevens.
I'd like to nominate Mike Ziegemeyer for vice chair.
We have a motion and a nomination of Mr. Mike Ziegemeyer from Sutter County. Looking for a second.
Second?
Okay, got a second by, I'll give it to the past chair.
Okay.
Todd Kimmelshoe. All those in favor of having Mr. Mike Ziegemeyer serve as our 2025-26 chair, I guess 2025, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Ayes have it unanimously. Congratulations to Mr. Ziegemeyer. Public comment. Members of the public will be allowed to address Sutter Butte's Flood Control Agency Board of Directors on items of interest to the public that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board. Any member of the audience who may wish to bring a matter before the board that has not been placed on the agenda may do so at this time. However, state law provides that no action may be taken on any item not appearing on the posted agenda. Do we have any public comment? Sir, there's a green button up there.
Good afternoon. Just wanted to introduce myself. My name is Bruce Ross. I'm with the staff of Senator Megan Daly, who's got the honor of representing, I think, all of your jurisdiction for the next 4 years. I'm based up in the office of Reading. Formally, I'm her press secretary at the moment, but been tasked specifically with working on water and resource issues in the Sacramento Valley. So some of this area is new to the senator, but very important to her, very important. Understand the importance of your work and flood control and safety for all of these communities down here along the Feather River. So just want to make sure that you know we're available, we're here, we want to support you and your goals over the next 4 years, making sure that we can keeping the community safe. I've got some cards if they'd be interested. Mr. Bissett knows how to get a hold of me, but and some of the Butte County supervisors as well. But for those of you I don't know, Bruce Ross from Senator Megan Daly's office, thank you for all your work, and I'm just here to learn and listen otherwise, and though if you do have any questions, happy to field them.
So thank you, Mr. Ross. Nice to meet you. Any questions from the board?
Okay. Thank you.
Not yet. Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? All right, seeing none, we'll move to the consent calendar. Looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion.
Thanks. We Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner, I have to back up here. We're directors. Directors, he gets confusing sometimes. I have a motion by Director Schmidl, second by Director Stevens. All those in favor of approving the consent calendar as presented, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Unanimously approved on the consent calendar. Next is item number 7, presentation and file our monthly financial report. Mr. Seth is going to present to us.
Mr. Myers.
Yes, I know it's Seth. I like Seth. Okay. Yeah.
Good afternoon. So this report covers actual financials through the end of December of 2024. Working capital, the actual working capital was about $22.5 million. Pending working capital, given pending financials from January to date, about $29.8 million. Operating revenue is about, through last year, 23-24, was about $1 million. Currently, the operating revenue for the current fiscal year is 0, although pending, we had just received Sutter County remittance payment, and that'll be counted either in January or February's financial report. $750,000 of that gets put into our operating fund. The remainder of it gets allocated to the capital fund. Capital revenue through December was $1.6 million, about $1.7 million. Estimated revenue to date is just under $9 million. Difference in actuals to pending then, so we have a total current pending, just specifically pending, about $8.5 million. And breaking that up here, that $8.5 million, you can see, is really just a combination of 2 sources. Capital payments, which we receive from the state typically, about $4.3 million or $4.4 million in pending. Assessment revenue, about $4.1 million. And then off to the left-hand side here, or excuse me, the right-hand side, is just our various grants and how much we have pending to date that we expect to receive from the state or other agencies. So total paid expenditures through the end of December were about $2.3 million. Estimated expenditures to date about almost about $3 million. So, there's about $600,000 difference there. And then, over the course of the next month or so, that'll be paid. Those will be paid off. Financing, our debt service payments are due in April. We had just received invoices from U.S. Bank for that. And I believe they're going out next week, so we're well ahead of the game on that. Just update you on activities to date. So we're just going to continue to submit packages to the state for reimbursement requests. Some closeout for some of the grants, RFMP 4 in particular. We expect to start ongoing and close out for that pretty soon. The rest are, we typically submit requests on a quarterly basis, and we're continuing to do that. The next big round will probably be within a week or so. And then for our next board meeting, we'll be presenting, we have an annual audit. Results of that, we wind up presenting in March. So open up for any questions.
Any questions for Seth? Seeing none?
It's Sean.
Is it Sean?
Yeah.
Oh, geez. That's my first foul. Thanks.
I'm almost offended, almost.
For him, so it's easy to.
I'll bring candy next time. Sorry about that. Jeez. All right.
No worries.
You look like, no. With no questions, thank you very much for the report.
Thank you.
All right. See if I can butcher number 8. Number 8, presentation and file a program project update. I know it's Michael.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome everybody to 2025. This is our first board meeting, and we have a full board of our 13 board members. So That's great to see. And I want to officially welcome Jeff Stevens from Sutter County to the board, and Jeremy Chapdelaine from City of Live Oak to our board. So welcome, gentlemen. I provided both of them what I call Sabufka one-on-one, the briefing that we have. And I think that went well. And it's a lot of information to take in, and, but I find that to be helpful. So welcome aboard. And then to Todd, thank you again for your chairmanship last year. It was great working with you, and I'm sure the same will be with Mark this coming year. So thank you for all your services. Okay, with that said, let's move on to what has been going on the past couple of months. So we didn't have our board meeting in January, which is typical. With the holidays and everything, it's nice to get through the holidays and then come back and get together in February. But a lot has happened in the last 2 months, so I'm going to go over that. Excuse me. So for Feather River West Levee Project 1, we're still in project closeout mode. I think I reported in December that the environmental mitigation, all of the work to close out those elderberry plant sites and transfer the responsibilities to Sacramento, San Joaquin. No, who's going to take over the maintenance there? Sacramento. Who's the maintenance site? Sac Valley Conservancy. Sorry, I just had I went blank there for a second. Anyways, there's still a little bit of work left to go, and I'll be able to report on that next month to be fully closed out. Also, on the right-of-way transfer to the state, one of the consent items was to amend HDR's agreement to help fully close out all of that work, transferring all of that right-of-way over to the state. So we're very close on finalizing those processes also. We're also, at the same time, all of the work that we did on the Feather River West Levee project, most notably all the encroachments, compliance work, all the pipelines, the pole relocations, all of that, we had to modify encroachment permits to document that the work that we did. So all of that process has to go through the state, then to the Army Corps to approve everything. Even though the work has been done, it just documents all of that work. So we're still working on that process as well. All of our work is done. It's just getting through mostly the federal process to finalize those, all of that work. And then lastly, the relief well repairs. We finished those manhole modifications last year. We're working with LD1 on to update the operation and maintenance manuals to account for that work. And we're also, last year we talked about there was some sediment that had formed itself in those wells down in Reach 7, which is near the Sierra Gold properties down in the southern portion of our basin. We're still tracking that. We're taking quarterly samples, and we're coordinating closely with LD1 on that. So that's still some active work happening there. On Feather River West Levee Project 2, that's the Tudor Flood Risk Reduction Project. That's the 1.6 miles along the Feather River between the Highway 99 bridge and then to the west to the Sutter Bypass East Levee. We are finalizing all of our plans and then the reviews of those plans through our state and federal partners. Working on acquiring all the necessary permits so that we can begin construction this summer. And then most notably, we're working closely with the Army Corps to close out the 408 regulatory process, which is essentially the Corps grants us the authority to go in and modify a federal levy. That process has been underway for quite some time, and Chris and I have a meeting with Colonel Caldwell tomorrow to emphasize our timelines and the urgency of this project to be in construction this summer. And really, we're going to lean heavily on the Colonel to lean heavily on his staff to make that happen. So I will After that meeting, I'll write up a summary and I'll transfer that to the board members to update you on how that meeting went. Next slide, please. On our Sutter Bypass East Levee repair, that's the 5.2 miles of the basically the worst section of the levee along the East Bypass. We're at a 65% design level now. We've transferred those plans to DWR and our independent panel of experts to review those plans. We'll also be kicking off the Army Corps 408 process. So the Central Valley Flood Protection Board packages the plans up along with the encroachment permit application that we submit to them, and they send that over to the Army Corps. So we get a lot of eyes on these projects, state reviews, federal reviews, and all the necessary approvals that we need to get into a construction of a levee project. So all of that is underway. We're also closely coordinating with the state on our FEMA BRIC application, where we applied for almost $50 million to construct those levee improvements. As the board is aware, we were selected by FEMA to receive those funds, so we're in that funding pipeline. It hasn't been fully authorized yet, so we haven't signed funding documents, but we're keeping a close eye on kind of the changes that are happening in the federal government with the new administration. So we're a little concerned, what could potentially happen to that funding. But as far as we know right now, that we're still in that pipeline to get funded, and we're keeping a close eye on that. So I'll keep the board apprised as we move forward. Just a reminder, we're targeting construction, assuming we get that funding, in 2027. So it's going to take a little while. It takes longer to get that FEMA funding. We'd be ready in 26 to actually build the project, but with the funding, we got to wait probably another year. So we're going to keep a close eye on that. And we're closely coordinating with Calpine on a potential funding of the rest of the bypass to help advance fund some of the design and permitting to fully repair that Sutter Bypass East Levee. And we're trying to set up a meeting with DWR to also talk about having some state funding in the process. So all of that has been underway over the past month or so. City of Orville levee repair. The good news there is the Army Corps agreed to do what they call a one-time safety inspection on that levee. We are coordinating with DWR on that process. And so the three entities, the Corps, DWR, and Sabufka, along with state representatives, will be actively involved in a levee inspection this coming May. It's going to be a 2-day process. 1 day actually physically walking the levee, and then the next sort of day and a half, kind of a desktop summary and active dialogue on what levee safety issues are identified and ways to move forward and make those necessary repairs. So it's a good way to get involved in the Army Corps process so that it will help the city advance their desire to improve that levee. At the same time, and it's interesting that Bruce is here, through Todd Kimmelshoe, we have set up a meeting with Senator Dahle for next Wednesday. So we're going to be there at her office, and we'll be talking primarily about state funding for this City of Orville levee repair project. So we're looking forward to that. So thank you for being here, Bruce. On the federal project, we're in closeout mode on that project. The Army Corps had completed the 5-mile repair. We are finalizing all the crediting documents that the Corps has to review to document how much credit Sabufka gets for that project. We're still looking at right around $28.9 million, and that's what we'll be selling to Sajafka. So we're in that process as well. We need the project partnership agreement. That's the PPA amendment that's noted there. to be approved, and that'll happen, we're hoping in March, but it more likely might be April now. It has to go through Corps headquarters in DC for final approval, and all of that is underway, and our project manager at the Sacramento district is keeping me apprised daily pretty much on that process. So it's all advancing in a positive way. Next slide, please. So for Oroville Wildlife Area, we have the Robinson's Riffle project. So the planning effort, the 1.1 million funded effort through DWR is essentially completed. We're finalizing that planning document. The first project to move forward out of that planning process is the $2.1 million design and permitting project through CDFW. And we are underway on that design and permitting process as well. And we're actively looking for construction funding. So we'll be applying for grants to advance that project. On the Thermalito Afterbay Boat Ramp and Campground project, that's another project that we'll be discussing with Colonel Caldwell tomorrow because we need Army Corps 408 approval for that project as well. So we're targeting construction this year. We're still going through state reviews and approval processes. We're still acquiring permits needed for the project. And again, the Army Corps 408. So we have a lot of work to do to be able to start construction. We're targeting June of this year. On FEMA remapping of Sutter County, we just heard back from FEMA recently. There's two items going on here. One is the FEMA remapping within essentially the Yuba City Basin, the areas covered by the Feather River West Levee project. So we've submitted all of our levee improvement documents and the residual floodplain mapping from that project. They're reviewing that. They're also going to be remapping all of Sutter County, outside of the Sabufka Basin, the Yuba City Basin. So all of that is underway as well. So we're coordinating closely with county staff under that effort. But that's going to be, a 2 to 3 year effort on behalf of FEMA to go through their process and finalize. And there'll be some public outreach occurring with that process as well. On the Feather River Side Channel project, we had that presentation, I believe, in December last year, of the Sutter County Resource Conservation District. That's going to be creating some side channels for migrating salmon to be able to get off the main channel of the river and be able to feed and grow. So we're part of that process or that effort. And we'll be reviewing whatever comes out of that process, the design plans. And they just had their kickoff meeting last week that Chris and I attended. So we're fully involved in that project, and I'll be providing updates as that moves forward. And then lastly on this slide is I was contacted by the Sutter County Museum last week to see if I would be a presenter at their event next month, and it's going to be on March 28th, which is a Friday, and at the Sutter County Museum. So they wanted me to discuss, flood risk reduction projects and ecosystem restoration type projects that we are doing. So that'll be happening next month. So it'll be a good presentation, hopefully.
Through the chair. Michael, I just had a quick question. Actually, Jeff asked me a question in regards to the Thermalito boat ramp and campground. That's not really a flood control project.
That is not.
So why does something like that land in our lap?
Yeah, so that's a great question. First of all, it's 100% grant funded. So we're not paying a dime out of Sutter Butte Flood Control Agency funding. So it's all 100% grant funded. DWR actually approached our agency because of all the good work we did up in the Oroville Wildlife Area, specifically the Unit D project. They asked us if we would take that on And it was something that our team can do. And since it was 100% grant funded, we thought it would be a good way to provide this type of project for the region, benefits of the region. And that's how it came about, essentially.
Can I ask one more question too, please? The Feather River side channel for the fish, is that all within the levee area, or does it go outside the levee area? Or?
It's between the levee and the river, so basically in the floodplain area. And really, the project is targeted between just downstream of the confluence of the Yuba and the Feather, down to Shanghai Bend area, essentially.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see, next slide. So next slide is, this is what we've started having an ongoing dialogue. I had this up for every month starting in the flood season, which typically kicks off November 1st. Every month we've been talking about, what's forecasted for the future, upcoming weather situations. We've had some recent, pretty wet weather. January was completely dry, and then all of a sudden the taps turned on. So I had been sending out updates to the board. I wanted to make sure that the board had been receiving those. We get information from some of our consultants through Yuba Water Agency, various sources. So I try to compile what I think is the most effective information to send out to keep the board apprised. And I know you probably get a lot of information from your staffs as well, but things are looking good. We have another pretty good storm coming in starting tonight through most of the day tomorrow. This will be a much colder storm, so it'll actually result in some good snowpack up in the mountains, which will be great. The Department of Water Resources had been releasing flows out of Orville to keep up with the incoming flows, to create that, keep that flood pool reserved for future storms and snowpack when we get our melts in the spring. So everything is looking pretty good, and a lot of good coordination happening between the state and Yuba Water Agency, ourselves, and all the levee maintaining agencies. So I think I'll pause there and see if there's any questions about that topic. Okay, I don't see any. And then lastly, our next board meeting is in March, on March 12th. So we'll look forward to seeing all the board next month. And that's it. Mr. Chairman, I'll turn it back to you to see if there's any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bissett. Any questions or any comments from any directors? Seeing none, we will stand adjourned until March 12th.